Welcome back to the Action Network Soccer Betting Preview Show. This is a special Champions League reaction episode. I'm Michael Leboff, the soccer editor here at Action. Today I'm joined by Anthony Dabbundo of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and BJ Cunningham of Sioux City, Iowa. And gentlemen, the Champions League draw came out. They're going to say it wasn't rigged. We all know that those ping pong balls were frozen because we're looking at a group of death at the top of the draw with Man City, PSG, Leipzig, and Club Brugge. But before we dive into our instant reaction and our favorite bets off the jump, let's just quickly run down the odds via Bet365. PSG, the team with Lionel Messi, Neymar, and Kylian Mbappe are your favorites at 3-1. Man City, they might be getting Cristiano Ronaldo. They're a very close second favorite at plus 350. Bayern Munich, 7-1. Chelsea, 8-1. Liverpool, 9-1. Man United 14-1, Real Madrid 16-1, Barcelona 20-1. So we're Juventus, Atletico Madrid 25-1, Borussia Dortmund 33-1, Atalanta 40-1, Inter Milan 50-1, Sevilla 66-1, AC Milan 80-1, and then we get into the triple digits, starting with Leipzig and Ajax at 100-1, Benfica 150-1. Fellow Portuguese side Porto 150-1, Ligue 1 champions Lille 150-1, Sporting 150-1, Villarreal 150-1, Wolfsburg 150-1, Shakhtar 150-1, Salzburg, Jesse Marsh's old side 150-1, Besiktas 250-1, Dynamo Kiev 250-1, Zenit St. Petersburg 250-1. Then we're getting to really deep long shots with the Swedish champions Malmo, 750-1. Young Boys out of Switzerland, 750-1. Club Brugge, who have the horrible luck of being in that group with Leipzig, PSG, and Man City. They're at 1,001. And then our favorite team, the Moldovan Giants, Sheriff Tiraspol, aka Sheriff, at 1,500-1. That was a lot to read. I'm going to take a break, so I'm going to turn it to BJ. Of the teams, at the kind of towards the top of the board, who is the one that has the most betting interest to you?
I love Real Madrid at 16-1 right now. And basically, if we look at this from a numbers perspective, I have Real Madrid at around a 7.5% chance to win the Champions League. If you look at other outlets like 538, they have them about 6% chance. So about 16-1, that's around a 5.5% chance to win. So, that's pretty good value right there. And honestly, I'm just doing this based on speculation because it really looks like Kylian Mbappe is going to go to Real Madrid before the transfer window closes. He's turned down 3 contract extensions with PSG, and PSG's sporting director even came out yesterday and said that Kylian wants to leave, but we need the right price to sell him. Well, it came out today that Real Madrid went and offered 180 million euros. So that seems to be about the right price for PSG to sell him. So if he comes to Real Madrid, that completely changes the game, and their odds are going to shoot up around probably 12 or 10-1. And, Real Madrid made it deep in the competition last year. They're a Champions League staple. They won it 3 times in a row. They have a solid squad all coming back. They didn't really have to sell anybody. So adding Kylian Mbappe to this roster is just an unbelievable draw for Real Madrid because in their group, they basically have the same group they had last year. They're going to play Inter and Shakhtar, and then our favorite team, FC Sheriff. They struggled with Shakhtar last year, but Shakhtar shouldn't honestly give them trouble this year. Inter is down after losing Lukaku, and they're also kind of in a little bit of a fire sale right now. And then Sheriff, obviously we love them, but they're probably going to be the worst team in this tournament. So Real Madrid should cruise through their group stage and face, one of the second place teams, and they might actually get a good draw in the round of 16. So at the price of 16-1, if they get Kylian Mbappe, I just think that's tremendous value on Real Madrid to win the Champions League.
Anthony, when we did our season preview pod, you talked about Manchester United as an interesting team in the Champions League pre-draw. Has that changed, or are you still interested in them based on their draw and their current price right now, which is 14-1?
Yeah, I don't dislike the draw. I think it's a tricky group. They get Villarreal, who beat them in the Europa League final in that absurd penalty shootout, pretty much stymied them for large portions of that game. That's a concern. Not a great draw for United. Probably going to be some pretty dull games, to be honest. And then they get Atalanta, who I think actually matches up really well. It's a great matchup for Manchester United because Atalanta plays that man-marking style, that high pressing kind of style that United has done well against in the past. when they're able to run in behind on teams and get in behind on space. And Fernandez and Pogba are kind of able to beat their man and then wreak havoc on opposing defenses. So I think it's a pretty favorable group for Manchester United. They have to get into the knockout stage. And then, Ole teams in the past have started slow and they've kind of kicked into gear second half of the season. And that's what I'm expecting from this Manchester United team, a team that I don't think really has the talent and the consistency to compete for a Premier League title, given, they just dropped points against Southampton at the weekend. They don't have all their full attacking talent going right now. Once Jadon Sancho gets fully into the fold, Edison Cavani, I'm sure his minutes will be prioritized down the stretch for the Champions League if needed. I think they're a team that's going to be really tough out in the tournament setting. They've been a tough out in years past under Mourinho and under Ole last year in the Europa League. I think they have a decent shot to make a run here. I think they're pretty strong favorites to win that group. So you win the group and then you have a good shot to get to the quarterfinal. And at that point, I ride 14-1.
Yeah, I actually, I'm thinking about Real Madrid, but I also like their inner city rival Atletico Madrid 25-1. Like you were saying with United, they're a team that's like built to be a tough out. Diego Simeone obviously is a coach that kind of like personifies that on the sidelines. They're going to be well structured. I don't hate their group. They're obviously very familiar with Liverpool, having ousted them from the Champions League before. And then Porto and Milan. I mean, it's a tough group. I'm not going to say it's a cakewalk, but I would put them as a solid second favorite behind Liverpool and with an outside chance of being able to upset that group. And like you said, you get through and then it's, knockout stage football and who knows. And that's where Simeone thrives. Not the greatest draw, but at 25-1, I just can't really look away from a team like that. So then let's look deeper down the board. BJ, we'll start with you. There are some really big prices next to teams that are really, really good in this tournament. I mean, you mentioned Atalanta at 40-1. I think that they'll get some support, especially in that group. I mean, you look at the Group G, which is Lille, Sevilla, Salzburg, Wolfsburg. 3 of those teams are 150-1. Then Sevilla is 66-1. So you're going to get a big price no matter what out of that group. There's definitely... And for a tournament that is not known for parity, there's definitely some reason to be interested in some big prices. So BJ, tell us what your favorite long shot bet is right off the draw.
I'm gonna go with Ajax outside of the group of 5. They were really close 3 years ago with a very young team to actually go into the Champions League final. They completely dominate the Dutch First Division last season. They won by just a ton of points. And if you look at some of the rating systems, especially, like the SPI index for ESPN and stuff that I've done, basically I have Ajax ranked inside the top 12. And it's basically because they have this best expected goal differential of anybody in the entire Champions League. Now they're obviously playing in Netherlands and they're dominating those teams, but that's still impressive coming into this competition. And last year they just missed out on the knockout stage but they were in a group with Liverpool and Atalanta. But if you go back through their results, the expected goals was very close in all of their matches against Liverpool and Atalanta. And now they have a pretty good draw in their group with Sporting, Dortmund, and Besiktas. So I think there's a good shot that they could potentially even win this group and get a great draw in the round of 16. So at a price of 100-1, I love those odds at Ajax coming out of Netherlands.
They're also a team that if they do advance out of the group because they play such an attractive style, they become a hipster team. Everybody seems to really enjoy watching them.
They have a good blend of youth and experience now with guys like Daley Blind playing in defense and a lot of good young talent going forward. So it's a good mixture team for a competition like this. Yeah,
and definitely, and like you said, like their domestic league doesn't really take too much out of them. Like they should be able to walk through the Eredivisie without a problem. Anthony, which one of these big prices do you think is the best value right off the jump here?
Yeah, I'm going to go right in that Ajax group, actually. I like Dortmund 33-1. You can find that right now. I actually agree with BJ on Ajax. I'm very high on them as a whole. I think they're an extremely talented squad. My guy, Brian Brobby, Ryan Gravenberch, they have a lot of really fun young players. It seems to be they just get every great young player, and they're kind of a feeder club to the bigger clubs in Europe. But the fact that they had all that talent is impressive. And they have almost everyone back from last year's team that really got unlucky in the Europa League and probably should have advanced over Atalanta in the group stage as well. So a great team in Atalanta, but I like Ajax, but I like Dortmund a lot. When you look at Dortmund, it's similar to the Manchester United of the world, where they're probably not the best team in the Bundesliga. They don't have the experience. They don't have the consistency to maintain its level for the entire Bundesliga season. We saw last week, they lost to Freiburg on the road, pretty flat performance from them after dominating Frankfurt on the opening day. I'm expecting some ups and downs as they get used to Marco Rose and Rosa Ball. But once January rolls around and we get to the Champions League knockout stage, which I'm expecting them to be in with Ajax out of that group, it looks like they're going to have the best striker in the world potentially at that point in Erling Haaland, given the development we've seen from him. And guys like Gio Reyna, we expect to continue to develop. Jude Bellingham, Marco Reus is always consistent, always strong if he's healthy. And I think Rose is going to be able to sort out some of the issues at the back that kind of hurt them last year when they faced Manchester City. But if you go back and watch that game in the quarterfinals against City, they took it to City and really had their chances to really do some damage, could have easily won the first leg at home, and then were in the second leg in Manchester before things fell apart. So I would really like to see them go up against the big boys and really pose a threat, especially a team like PSG, who I think is extremely vulnerable to the way that Dortmund wants to play.
So before we hopped on this Zoom, I wrote down 3 teams for my favorite long shot. The first one was Dortmund. The second one was Ajax. And the third one is the one that I'll give out. I like Sevilla, 66-1, the best defensive team in La Liga by expected goals last season. They're always at the top of the, in that like third or fourth place in La Liga. Sometimes they will challenge for titles there. And they're a great tournament side, right? They win the Europa League basically every year, it seems like, going back decades. This is a side that's built for this style of competition. They're likely not going to win La Liga. This is like similar to Dortmund and United. But you play in these like one-off games where the variance kind of increases a little bit. They have a better chance and it's a good price, 66-1 at the currently at Bet 365. We might see something bigger come out. And I mean, that group is just set up perfectly for them. Like I'm not going to say they should overlook Lille, who just won Ligue 1. Obviously Salzburg, we know are a decent side coming out of the Austrian Bundesliga, and Wolfsburg they go up and down within the German Bundesliga, but Sevilla are clear favorites in that group. And once they get through, who knows? And like Atletico, that's a tough team to beat in a 2-leg competition if they get through to the knockout stages. So I like Sevilla 66-1. And I mean, that'll wrap it up. We wanted to be quick. We wanted to just react to this draw. I mean, it's just insane. This is, I think this is probably the best Champions League draw we've ever seen.
Absolutely
Up there.
Yeah.
When they pulled Leipzig and they were the third team, and then the fourth pot came around, and I was doing the math, and I was like, Milan is going to either be A, B, or C. And they pulled C, and I was like, oh my God, Milan's either going to be A or B. This will be the greatest Champions League group in the history of the Champions League. It didn't quite happen, but I feel bad for Leipzig because I'm really a big fan of them in general. I got a lot of futures on them in the Bundesliga, but not going to work out too well.
Yeah, well, one thing I'll add real quick about the teams like Sevilla and Dortmund is when we get to the knockout stage, since they have pretty easy groups to get through, when it comes around to January, usually like in the Bundesliga, Bayern Munich has already ran away with it. So Dortmund doesn't really care about Bundesliga and those type of things. So they'll really put all their focus on the Champions League. And the same thing with Sevilla, because usually Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Atletico have run away with it, and they have basically no shot, and they're already secure inside the top 4. So at those prices, once we get to the round of 16, those prices are basically going to get cut in half. So to get on those long shots now where you can get a good draw if they win their group, I mean, it's just tremendous value on teams like that.
I'm still thinking about Atalanta from 2 years ago and that collapse against PSG. I still think about that in the back of my head every single time.
Yeah, it's pain. I mean,
they were 5 minutes from the semifinal and would have played Leipzig.
The fact that all three of us were in agreement with a lot of these long shots is very scary, and probably means that none of them
you should take other teams.
Yeah. And I mean, on that note, I think we should wrap it up. Enjoy this weekend's soccer. We'll see you guys back here on the other side of the international break as we preview match week 4 of the Premier League Plus.